This actually comes from the Washington Post, home of Dave Weigel, who used to lead pro-war rallies, and now he's the lead reporter covering progressive politics for Jeff Bezos.
That sounds like motorcycles.
Hey, you got? Did a motorcycle just come in your living room?
What the?
That felt like an accident was coming out my window, but it's okay. I think.
Is your girlfriend playing Grand Theft Auto?
I thought, Jimmy, maybe you got a sound box. I was like, that was a weird time to use it.
Yeah. Wow. What is? Are you underneath the Triborough Bridge right now? What are you? Where is your apartment? Are you in Brooklyn?
I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah.
You are in ground zero for socialist douchebags. That is amazing. I mean, I love socialists, but
let's hurry up and do this story. Aaron's got a drag race in 20 minutes.
He's got a drag race. I heard this. He's
got to get the T-Bird together.
This weekend, while Big Daddy Aaron Mate, this Sunday at US Smoking 30 Drag Strip.
They're racing for slips. That's the only way he does it. We're racing for pinks.
Mike Brown said Russia has weaponized the traffic.
Russia has weaponized
Callback.
peel outs. They've weaponized peel outs. Oh, that's Russia. That's Russia. How Russia has weaponized the Harley Davidson noise. Hey, how Joe Biden tamed the left, at least for now. So this is the Washington Post. Now this, I like, first Joe Biden says, I see you, I hear you, I ignore you. Please be tame. The left might strike again someday at some protest that we in Washington Post will ignore. This is from Inside the Story. Representative Pramila Jayapal, the chair of the House Progressive Caucus, who spent dozens of hours last summer working on the Unity Task Force, is now in frequent talks with the Biden White House. We don't want to do things that are going to surprise the White House, Jayapal said. What do they talk about on those unity commissions? They talk about good things, not bad things. They talk about unity things. Sometimes they write letters. Klain, that's the chief of staff for Biden. Klain returns emails and calls from top liberal groups, and regularly he brings in small groups of liberal lawmakers for meetings. He's taking care to be sure that they feel there's been a meaningful exchange, aides and lawmakers say. Meaningful exchanges. That's all we ask. Top policy Americans, that's all they want. We want meaningful exchanges. Do we want results? No. But we want meaningful exchanges. What do you want? You want $15 minimum wage?
No.
No. I want a meaningful exchange about it. Here we go. And nodding to a favorite platform of the liberal elite, Klain frequently uses his Twitter account to like or retweet messages, even from lesser-known activists. A move that takes less than a second of his time, but is noticed and widely discussed among liberal networks. So this is this is called, Aaron, this is called the Ministry of Appeasement.
Embarrassing. What do we want? Meaningful exchanges and Twitter likes.
That's right. That's right.
What do we want? Imagine if you're in the Progressive Caucus, you should be humiliated by that. And Jayapal saying that out loud, we don't want to surprise the White House. I thought you're supposed to be challenging the White House and demanding that progressive agenda, pushing them left. You don't push someone left by not surprising them and by being appeased by Twitter likes. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. I mean, I can't believe there hasn't been a bigger fallout from that.
I can't believe
our representatives are being satisfied and appeased by Twitter likes.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Yes, that's exactly what.
The other day, he retweeted somebody who didn't even have a blue check. Don't you pores feel seen?
Here's a like, you lesser activist. You're welcome. He'll even retweet lesser activists, Ron. Lesser activists. Does that mean like me? Am I a lesser known activist? Is that me?
Oh man.
Well, you have a blue check, so I don't know.
No, this
You might be a moorer activist.
So back in the back in the feudal days, they would let's go out and give a wave to the peasants, right? And now this is the equivalent. Go out and give a like to the peasants. Give a retweet to the peasants. Give a like to the peasants. That's what this is.
And Jimmy, it's a like, so it takes a second. A wave is longer. A wave can sometimes take 2 seconds. You got to fire up the horse and buggy. It's a whole thing.
Well, it's
but a like.
It's a
technology, baby.
It's a time saver out appeasing the peasants, right? So you had to do this. This took like 3 seconds, but now a like is 1 second. That's a savings of 2 seconds. Now that doesn't sound like much, but if you do that 2 or 3 times a day, you add it up by the end of the week, you've got a half an hour that's all yours. And you know what I do with it? I get a massage.
By someone whose tweet I liked.
That's right. Thank you, lesser activist, for my massage. Here we go. I feel like we're getting a little bit spoiled for future president, said Varshini Prakash, the co-founder of Sunrise, a liberal group focused on reducing climate change that endorsed Sanders in the 2025. They're getting spoiled.
Sunrise was the movement that held the protests at Nancy Pelosi's office.
With AOC.
Yeah, with AOC. And that was supposed to herald this new era of holding neoliberal Democrats to account. Now their founders talking about being spoiled by Twitter likes.
By attention from the chief of staff of Joe Biden, the guy who's dedicated to fracking. So you're going to get spoiled because someone gave you attention? I told you, Ron, we already covered this on the show. I don't know if you were with us. But we covered her endorsing their stupid the task force bullshit on climate change, and I said that they gave them attention. That's exactly what we said 6 months ago. They gave them attention. They feel like they're getting attention from powerful people, and so now they're going to sign off on Joe Biden's environmental program, which is going to be 100% bullshit. And I was right. Klain has successfully corralled the left, all the important groups and influential representatives. He takes their calls, he schmoozes, he makes people feel heard, said Corbin Trent, who left Washington after serving as communications director to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He's right. He's right, I guess. I guess he's right. You're right, Aaron. Why wouldn't people be more embarrassed by this stuff? They should be embarrassed. They're basically saying that Joe Biden can co-opt you and squash your movement.
And what Biden has done is smart. He has thrown progressive Democrats some crumbs. Look, I'd personally rather have him in there than Trump on domestic issues, especially. Biden has been better, but he still caved on all the important issues, including a $15 minimum wage, which he sold out on immediately. And instead of accepting the crumbs that they're getting, they should be resisting that and calling it out. But here they're openly saying that they're happy with it.
They're happy with lip service.
They'll take it.
They're happy with lip service. That's not even a crumb.
Yeah. And meanwhile, and just on foreign policy, the crumbs that he's throwing on domestic policy, which again are better than anything Trump did. On foreign policy, he's basically continuing Trump's foreign policy. He's continuing the coup in Venezuela. He's continuing for now resisting the Iran nuclear deal and the sanctions on Iran. He's continuing the murderous sanctions on Syria.
And the occupation of Syria.
Yep, absolutely. And Afghanistan, he's probably going to avoid the withdrawal date. And so he's just throwing out crumbs, and everyone is vocally saying that they're willing to be appeased.
So when you say that, you're saying that Biden's administration right now is better than Trump's domestically was. That's not just going from 2016 forward. You're not talking because Joe Biden has a much worse record than Donald Trump does. For instance, we talked about it earlier. Joe Biden is the architect of our criminal justice, the incarceration system. and which is way racist, way deleterious to black and brown people, decimating their communities for decades. Trump didn't do that. So I hear what you're saying, but Joe Biden has been much, much worse and more injurious to this country than Donald Trump.
Historically, yeah, I agree. And we've talked about this before. Biden does have more blood on his hands, just especially by virtue of the Iraq War. He was a vocal champion of the Iraq War, a leading cheerleader for it in the Senate, whipping votes in the Senate for George Bush's invasion. So, yeah, historically, he does have more blood on his hands. But, still, the people around Trump were so extreme and far right on everything that I'd rather have anybody in there but them. But unfortunately, instead of pushing Biden to break from Trump, especially on foreign policy, there is no resistance from the Democrats as Biden continues pretty much all of Trump's foreign policies, and in some ways might even make them worse. Like, for example,
yes.
Right now with Russia and Ukraine. So Biden did a good thing where he renewed the New START treaty, which was about to expire because Trump almost killed it. But now Biden's ramping up. He's called Putin a killer, and he's sent weapons to Ukraine. And there's talk right now of possible renewed war between Russia and Ukraine, worse than it already is. And the Biden administration is totally fueling this. So in that area of the world, it might even end up actually being worse than Trump, which is actually crazy because Trump was a hawk on Russia and did almost everything he could to ramp up,
Yes.
confrontation. So, and Biden's doing that with this agenda of giving Democrats some crumbs at home to continue the same things abroad.
So when he says, when Klain, who is the chief of staff to Joe Biden, says he has successfully corralled the left. Can I give you the definition of corralled? Corralled is the definition of corral is a pen or an enclosure for confining or capturing livestock. Just want to let you know. So we would be the sheep. We would be the livestock that he's corralled in a pen. So if this is more from the Washington Post. It says that's a useful skill, meaning Klain's ability to smooth lefties and shut them up. That's a useful skill, but it does not translate into much meaningful change. At this point, what the left is influencing is Klain's schedule more than anything else. That's correct. And so we go to Professor Zenkis as he reminds us there's no $15 minimum wage, no public option. They completely stopped talking about the public option.
Yep.
There's no student debt cancellation, and there's no $2,000 checks. All of these things were inadequate given the moment we are in, but the Democrats ran on them. They controlled both houses of Congress, and they didn't do any of them.
And then Klain liked that tweet.
As Dr. Peacelove points out, any student of history will know progress only ever comes when the people sit around and trust that their politicians are being strategic when they refuse to act. So, of course, that's sarcastic. That's use of sarcasm. And but that's what people keep telling us. Shut up and take it. That's what Klain wants us to do. That's what The Intercept wants us to do. That's what the Young Turks want us to do. That's what the MSNBC and CNN want us to do. They want us to shut up and take it. And we're not. I'm not shutting up. We're not taking it. We're going to keep telling the truth. We're going to keep telling the truth about Syria and Libya and Venezuela and Afghanistan and Yemen. And, of course, the bullshit COVID relief, that isn't coming. That's not real. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not relief. Anyway,
and they're never going to fight for a public option. They're not. They'll say they will, but they won't because the insurance industry will not allow it. The insurance industry will not allow any competition with their corrupt, totally inefficient for-profit system. Even a meager public option would put them out of business. So that will never be allowed. Biden will never be on board with it.
You're 100%. I mean, Biden was the one saying public option, and he won't. He was saying $15 minimum wage. He was saying $2,000 checks. He was saying cancel student debt. Not doing any of it, nothing. And which shows that he's a sociopathic liar. But somehow we're still the bad guys here at the Jimmy Dore Show. We're still we're still going to catch all the hate from the shit libs and all my comedy friends in Hollywood who don't know their fucking asshole from a hole in the ground because now they're part of the establishment because they're all successful. And they don't need Medicare for all, and they don't need a $15 minimum wage, and they don't need a $2,000 direct check. But they do know that you got to vote for Joe Biden. And I bet, and a lot of them know, like the executive producer of The Simpsons says Medicare for all doesn't work. They tried it in Vermont, it didn't work.
Oh my God!
And now you know why The Simpsons aren't relevant. Because the executive producer's a shit lib. That's why he's just as bad as Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. That's the fucking Simpsons now, and that's why they're irrelevant. And this show isn't. This show is actually relevant. This show actually makes news, whereas the fucking Simpsons never, ever, ever will. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.